This is Sherita Herring with Beverly Hills to Barnyard. You're listening to the WCEG network on WCEGtalkradio.com or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, and the WCEG network. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like WCEG on Facebook, follow on Twitter or Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not the WCEG Network. Thank you so much for your continued support. Today, I have another dear friend. We've known each other for a very long time. Many of you have heard me talk about CEO Space, which is where we initially met. But Juliette Bastian is a visionary founder and CEO of Strategy Works Consulting, a distinguished firm providing specialized organizational and personal development services to a diverse clientele of government, nonprofit, and private sector organizations, as well as individuals. With over 3 decades of experience in various fields, including strategic planning, change management, communication, healthcare, and budget management, Juliette has carved a remarkable path in the world of consulting. Now, I could read on and on and on, but I'm going to let her tell you who she is and exactly what she does. Meet my very special guest, Miss Juliette Bastian. How are you, darling?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you? It's so
I
so
am.
good to be here. So good to be here.
It's wonderful seeing you again. You know, we interact through social media and all of that, but it's so great to see you again, actually face to face.
I know, I know. I love it. This is so great.
Yes, yes. So, Juliette, you're such a professional woman and have so many great ideas. Um, who is your ideal client?
So as you read at the introduction, there's a range of clients that I've worked with over the years, from Fortune
Mhm.
500 companies to individuals. But if you break it down into 2 categories, I'll start with the individuals. And so what I find that my ideal client is an individual who is 50 years or over. I call us seasoned, and because we have years of experience and expertise in our wheelhouse, but we're at this point where we're shifting to another phase in our life.
Mhm.
So I've got some programs set up to really help you identify your unique value proposition. So what is it that you bring to the table? Because you move from representing and being a brand for some other company or some other entity or organization to branding yourself. So what does
Uh-huh.
that look like? So those are my ideal clients, those individuals who are ready to pivot to another phase in their life. So I help them do that and
Mhm.
figure out what they want that to look like. On the other side, it is organizations. In those organizations, I work with a leadership team. So my favorite clients are those that are willing to be innovative and collaborative in their efforts of putting a strategy together. And it's a strategy that is put together in such a way that you look at things from 360 degrees and you integrate people from across the organization, and you're able to easily communicate that throughout the organization. And I have a special initiative right now that I'm spearheading, particularly for higher education institutions, our colleges and universities in the United States. And I know that's kind of a hot topic these days because everybody's saying we don't need higher education, but to a certain extent we do. And they
Mm.
are just like governments, they really need to shift really how they're delivering their services. And so that's what my initiative is about, is working with those leadership teams so that they can create a very empowered student enrollment journey with them. So it's from bringing the students on board, how do they attract them, how do they keep them, and how do they graduate them and then allow them to go back into the community and the world and serve in a different way than obviously they have for a while.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, when you say the initiative, is that something that is an event coming up? Or and speaking of, what events do you have coming up?
When I say It is not an event, it's an overall initiative that I'm working on. So I'm really striving to impact as many colleges and universities as I can within the next couple of years and
Hmm.
saying, look, you guys need support right now, and you need a way to build a strategy that is more all-encompassing. So I don't have any current events for them. However, they can contact me. We do a
Hmm.
discovery call and see if it's a good fit. I do have a program called the Student Enrollment Mastery Program. So
Hmm.
we'll talk about whether it's a good fit for them. Events I have coming up is I wanted to offer your guest, actually, I will be attending the end of this month, March 22nd through the 24th. A dear friend of mine is doing Financial Freedom 101.
Mm.
And her name is Penelope Jane Smith. She is a master. She does, and you know this because of CEO Space, I think we touched a little bit on the principles of Robert Kiyosaki
Hmm.
and his principles. So she integrates that in the work that she's been doing for many, many years. And so I have some complimentary tickets to that event. If you go on her website, there is a price for it. But for your guests, I'm offering that as complimentary to do that.
Ah,
So that I will be there. That's
and
the
Robert Kiyosaki, that's Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
that's Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
he's
I
been
mean, that's
working in
that was such a hot book at the time and still is. Now,
still is.
and what's the date of that?
That is March 22nd,
Okay.
23rd, and 24th. It's a 3-day event.
Is
Uh,
that live or is it virtual?
it is live.
Live. Okay.
Yes. So, and I
Uh,
believe if you go on there, you can get a recording if you can't make all 3 days. But the very first time I attended it, I've been a part of her community for the better part of 2, 3 years now, and it's just amazing. So, yes,
we'll
so that
share that information
definitely.
because it's going to be located where? What
It's
city?
over Zoom, it's virtual.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, so it's
How did I
virtual.
miss?
No
I don't know
worries.
why I thought I
I
heard
know
live.
we go back to when we were going places and,
Yeah.
there's now
Yeah.
this integration between the two. And then the
Yeah.
final thing is for the individuals who want to transition, I have what's called a Empower Her webinar. So even though it says her, this is the month of celebrating women, but
Right.
it is a webinar where I talk about the principles of how you can shift to the next phase in the next chapter in your life. And the third thing is not necessarily a specific day, but it is another offer I want to share with your guests because you are such a good friend of mine. Is I have VIP days that I do with individuals, and that is what when you want to work on getting from where you're at to where you want to go, it's
Hmm.
just we talk about that and we just spend one day together and we knock it out. And I put it, it's curated to meet, whatever your challenges are, where you want to go, and then just do the work that day and get it out, get it done, as they say. So I'm
Yes.
offering a significant discount for you. So those are really the three things that I have coming up. A couple put together because I love you dearly. So yeah.
Well, thank you, dear. You had mentioned earlier about clients and that 50 and older
Hmm.
um, population. And that's really important because so often people get to midlife. There's a lot of things going on, even physically, our bodies. And then now you might have to pivot or you're thinking of pivoting because of things, you're ready to do something different. Your
Right.
career isn't satisfying or your job or whatever. So that is a population in itself that needs some coaching.
Hmm.
And so now, if an individual wants to call you about individual coaching, which you're magnificent at, how can they reach you?
So you can reach me on the website. I have a link in there. It is bit.ly/Sherita gift. Pretty easy to
Ah,
remember, right? And
uh-huh,
then that way that'll take you directly to my calendar. You just book a call and I think it's set up for 45 minutes. And in that
uh-huh.
45 minutes, we'll talk about where you're at. I get to know people that way. I love it. And we'll talk about whether it's a good fit for you.
Oh, okay, okay. It's crazy. This big old dog is sitting here. He keeps bumping my little desk.
That's
Now,
because he wants to say hi. I haven't seen him in a while.
you know, um, what's some common mistakes where people or organizations are not getting the best results that they could?
I love that you asked that question because what I find in how I evolved to this really into getting results and helping people get results is there's really a missing piece. And I'm going to share my screen here if that's
Okay.
okay. I have just a couple of slides that I'm a visual person, as you know,
Uh-huh.
and so I love to do both. If you can
Yes,
see my
yes.
screen,
Yes,
that's
I can.
so there are different phases that we
Now
go through.
I just see four white boxes. Is that the way it should be seen?
Yes, I'm building.
Okay.
I'm
All righty.
building the suspense.
Look, last week I was having a heck of a time. I mean, the week
Yeah.
before, so I just wanted to make sure you
No, but
wasn't
you were
doing like me.
absolutely lovely. No, you're lovely. That was great. We go through different phases in creating results, and it's based on how clear we are about where we want to go, our vision. And we talk about this all the time. Be clear about where you're going, where your vision is, and then our activities. And our
Uh-huh.
activities can serve us or they can super serve us and really drive us. So I call the very first quadrant the aimless wanderer. The aimless wanderer is someone who's not that clear about their vision. However,
Uh-huh.
and so therefore they're kind of like, well, it's a c'est la vie kind of life. I'll just go with the flow. Activities and what I do, it's just, it's gonna work somehow. So
Mm.
it's a quadrant you don't necessarily want to sit in. And then this is kind of my favorite kind of fallback quadrant is the busy being busy. That's
Uh,
those of us who have a big old list of to do, a big to do list with a lot of things that they're going to do. So they're very high on the actions that they take, but
mm,
because it's not necessarily focused on a destination, it's not as productive as it could be. The
mm.
final one is the third one, I should say, is the unpredictable winner, who is very pretty clear about where they want to go. However, they don't do a great job of the actions that they take. So they may have some success, but they can't repeat it because they're like, ooh, that was good. Let's celebrate. But I don't remember what I did.
Uh-huh.
And the final one is the intentional achiever. And that is where you have both aligned, where you're very clear about where you want to go and the actions that you take are aligned with that. So to move to from any one of the quadrants, and you can probably attest to at any given point in time, if you're taking up a new project, you might be in the aimless wanderer until you figure out exactly what you want that to look like and
Mm.
what you need to do. So it's okay to shift where there's a challenge and where I find it being something that I see across the board is when you stay in any one of these quadrants and you don't take action to move to the intentional achiever.
Okay.
So that's where I created the my car framework, which is simply connecting your actions to results. Because we do a great job of let's do our strategy. Where's our vision? Where do we want to go? Let's connect with our clients and our customers or other people. And then we do all of these actions and we aren't as intentional about connecting the two.
Ah,
So that's really kind of the foundation of what I've
okay.
come to put together that really serve both individuals and organizations in making sure that you don't just do kind of the frame, you
Uh-huh.
do the work that you need to do in between to make sure you get results.
It's something how when we're coming in from home, I just knocked over my coffee. And
Oh
I hope
no,
you guys, my two dogs are down here licking this coffee up. I hope you can't hear all that noise in the background.
we
So,
can't.
so i- is there, do people stay stuck in those different quadrants for years or months, or do people just kind of flow and and you can help them to get out of from one quadrant to the other? I mean, it just seems like
Yeah.
how
I,
would a person
I can. I just did
navigate?
another dear friend of mine. I've known her for years, and she came to me. She says, "Oh, I got this idea. I really need to do that." And she said, "It's gonna be a movement." And I said, I don't do movements." First of all, I said, but she was in the aimless wanderer. She kind
Uh-huh.
of had an idea. She wasn't quite sure what to do. So I did work with her where we could just really take all of those ideas and focus them. So she was kind of between the aimless wanderer and the to-do list because she was saying, I
Oh,
want this, I want to have this, I want to have this. So it's just
okay.
really understanding what's going on with what your thoughts are and what you're doing. And then you can address how you can move from that. And so that's what I help you with. And then I
Uh,
have people that come to me with, organizations will do this where they're saying, here's our vision, and you've got
Hmm.
all of these different departments with their list of the projects and initiatives they're going to do. And that's what I call it the budget dance, right? They go
Uh,
before to get the funding for this initiative, not necessarily understanding that doesn't really serve them because they don't
mm,
go, with the intent of, are we creating what we call an outcome or a result, or is it an
mhm,
output or a widget? And so, it's just really helping them understand what quadrant they're in. And once you understand that, then you can correct either one because it's one of the two things.
well, now for a startup business, and
Hmm.
they're feeling like they just don't know what direction to take. That that person that's at that level,
Hmm.
and they gain from your expertise.
So we'll sit down and we'll really talk about, and when I do strategy, and I always tell everyone, strategy doesn't mean you're doing bad. Strategy is a sliver of 3 to 5 years in your life or in a business or an organization. So if it's a startup, it's the first 3 to 5 years. And what you're doing is you're saying, let's look at where we are right now, and
Mhm,
let's say this is where we want to get. Make sure it is a little bit of a reach, but not crazy, so it drives you nuts.
uh-huh,
And then say, what is that gap? And what actions do we do that address that gap? So to the extent that you're clear about the results in the CAR methodology, you
mhm,
connect to your current situation, who your clients are going to be as a startup,
mhm,
and where you want to go, then you can say, okay, what are the most productive actions that I can take that move my car toward my destination?
mm.
Right.
Okay.
And, it moves it along my roadmap to success. So I just did a session this last weekend for a number of international women about their roadmap to success. And it was based on the car. Let's connect to where you're at. Let's look at where you want to go. And
Mhm,
then we identified a few actions. And so that is always neat because it's an aha, moment.
mhm, mhm. Well, now, we all have obstacles. So,
Yes.
Juliette, what has been your greatest obstacle that you've had to overcome?
I would say for me, and I think this is what is the foundation of who I am and how I show up and how I figured out this is one of the things I was put here to share with folks,
Mhm,
is that for 25 years I worked for local government in Southern California for a county out here. And I'd had a great career, was doing wonderfully. And then just because of politics, I made the decision to leave. Now, I had been an employee for all those years. I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what it meant. So
yeah.
overnight, I was an entrepreneur, and I found myself in this world of like, wow. And and this is one thing that I find, particularly with individuals, we go back to those that are more seasoned, is, I think I was in my early 40s at the time. I'm only 42 right now, but it's been a lot happening in the last 2 years.
You're
But
such a baby.
I am. I think, in my early 40s at the time, and I had only associated my value with that job title or that department that I ended up working with or leading. Even though, and this, I do fashion, I
Mhm,
also love to dance, I had forgotten that those are some other skills that I'd had that added to the value of who I am. And
mm,
so that's one of the things that I find is that as we get older, or if we've worked for an organization or or been in a particular position, let's say if you're a mother and all of a sudden the kids are gone, you've
mhm.
only associated with being a mother. Now you're an empty nester, and it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Right.
Right,
So
right.
sometimes we tend to forget all of these things and life experiences that we have.
Mhm,
We tend to lead with that. And so that was a big eye opener for me, and that's where I really found that I excelled in strategy, is that strategy said, wait a minute, assess your value and the skills that you have. And it is more than just this resume of the jobs that you have. Are
right,
There
right.
are what I call transferable skills. And
Mhm.
those are skills that you can take with you from job to job, experience to experience through life. Things like communication. You might not ever have the title of a communication director, uh, but if you've served in public speaking, you don't call them communication directors, but it is the skill of communication that you can take, and it's a valuable transferable skill. Sometimes we don't remember those things.
Right, right. And it's really important that you're saying that too, because people don't realize that strategy is so important to save you time and effort.
Mhm.
And so to have someone like yourself that can listen to them, see the direction that they want to go, listen to the experience that they're working with, who do they have that they're working with, and then can help to set out some kind of plan. And that's why, just even in my career, that I've seen why so many businesses end up failing is they might be great at their particular skill set,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that they have the knowledge in order to get them to the direction that they're wanting to go for success. And so that's where someone that is key, like yourself, can come in and help develop that effective strategy.
Yeah.
So if you guys are listening and you're feeling stuck, or you need a roadmap, you can't put those pieces of the puzzles together, Juliette is the person that you need to call. Juliette, what's your email and contact number?
My email is Juliette, Juliette, at strategy working the number four, the letter U.com. So strategy, like, Sherita, I love you because you say there's a grant for everything. And you say
Yeah, and the next thing I want to
strategy.
talk about was your nonprofit.
That's right. Strategy is everywhere. And I mean, you're great at really identifying, we work together because you helped me with my nonprofit. And,
Mhm.
we worked together. And that was one of the things that you were great at, is really talking to me about what was the all-encompassing thing that was a part of me. And so my nonprofit serves all of the aspects of who I am. So, I thank you for that. But yeah, it's amazing how, for me, and I'm sure you believe the same thing, and you live the same thing with, how you view the world and grants, is that strategy is everything. I mean, no, we can do it unconsciously and we can do it intentionally, right? And so whether you know it or not, you're strategizing about something that you're going to do. Now,
Always.
do it right effectively. That's the whole point. And if there's a gap, when I talk about the action piece, it's not just let's just do this action. I say ask three questions. Does it move you closer to your results? If that's
Hmm.
a yes, that's great.
Hmm.
Does it is it something that you can measure the progress toward that? If it does, yes, that's
Right.
better than saying I'm going to change the world, right? It's hard to measure that and it's hard to quantify that. And the
Right.
third thing is, do you have the capacity to do that? That's the biggest thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes we want to do stuff and we don't have the time to do it and we don't think about it. We might not be physically capable, mentally capable, or we need the skills. And then that's where you can look at, well, if I can't do that, might not be the best thing for me, or do I need to get a partner? Do I need to get training? Do I need to get help to do this? And
Yes.
you identify that.
And Juliet, a lot of times just when people hear the word strategy, they think it's different than something that they do in their everyday life. If you're getting ready to wash dishes, there's a strategy. You clear
Ex-
those dishes out of the sink. Make
Exactly.
sure you have your dish liquid. You put things in place, and
Right.
that's your strategy to make that happen. And so when people can see that you're strategizing all day, every day, but you still may need someone to give you that direction, like yourself,
Hmm.
you're not doing something that is foreign. It's just you may be
Exactly.
stepping into a business that you don't totally understand the best direction. And again, that strategy coach like yourself will make the job and your whole career path a whole lot easier.
It
But
is. And yeah, and it is. And I will say this is that sometimes you just need to talk through
Mhm.
what's going on in your head, particularly if you're a startup or if you're facing this kind of crossroads, you just need to talk it out. And when you
Mhm.
talk it out, see what I find that I'm good at is creating clarity out of chaos, because I can hear stuff, but I've done it for a long time.
Ah,
And so I can hear things and I can take my years of experience and say, oh, okay, I recall when I worked with this client or this organization that they handled it this way. I can bring that to you, whereas it might take you a while to research some stuff like that too. So,
mhm.
that's the beauty of what I love about what I do is I've been doing strategy of some sort for the better part of 25 years. But I bring all of those experiences, and now I know my unique value proposition, and that's why I founded Strategy Works Consulting. Is now I can do it my way, infused with my flavor too. Strategy, as you said, is everywhere, and it's traditional. People do strategic planning all the time.
All the
I think,
time, all the
yeah, yep,
time. Tell us
yeah.
a little bit about your nonprofit.
My nonprofit is called Julian and Alphonsine Bastian Foundation. And ironically, the acronym is JAB Foundation, but it is to honor my mother and my father. My father was a veteran from the Air Force. And
Mhm.
so the Air Force is very strategic. Actually, that's where strategic planning came from, is the military, right? So it's interesting. And so that piece of it is to help businesses really launch and do their work using strategy. And
Uh-huh.
then I'm have dear to my heart really those that are transitioning and veterans, to help them. On the other side of it is to honor my mother, Alphonsine. She was called Cini for short, but she was a fashion artist, which is what I call myself. And she taught me everything that I need to know about a fashion and the creative arts, and she had that flavor. So there was a nice balance. And so, as the ultimate patriarch and matriarch of the Bastian family, I
Uh-huh.
set up a foundation to provide services through, in their honor, through that foundation.
And there's strategic planning grants that you can get under your foundation to help
Exactly.
individuals that need you, but might be startups and normally could not afford you. So
Mhm.
we need to talk about that
Yes, yes,
because
absolutely.
people
Because
do need you. Now we're down to 3 minutes. And
yeah,
so again, Juliette, and I want to have you back. I've got different guests that I kind of make it a series because you've got so much vital information to share. And I have more questions for you. But we're down to the final 3 minutes. So again, how can they reach you?
so they can reach me. My website is www.strategyworking, WORKING, the number 4, the letter U.com.
Hmm.
And they can email me at juliette@strategyworkingforyou.com. Or you can go to get on my calendar, which is probably the best way to do that, by going to bit.ly/Sherita gift. And that takes you directly to my calendar, and you can just schedule some time on my calendar. I love to talk to people and find out what they're working on and stuff.
Yes,
See how
yes.
I can support them. It's such a pleasure and an honor for me. And I guarantee you, if we talk, you'll come out with some nuggets. So
Yes, I'm
yeah,
sure. I'm
yeah.
sure. Well, Juliette, you have always, just amazed me in your ability to figure things out, figure people out. And that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed working with you.
Yeah.
I look forward to having you again on the show. We're going to set up a part two because I think
Oh,
that would be really important. And
yeah, there's something juicy.
absolutely, absolutely. So again, I want to thank you for coming on. Stay tuned, you guys, for part two with Miss Juliette Bastian. And Juliette, do I say your last name correctly?
You know what? A short, quick story is my family says Bastion, but
Bast
the French pronunciation is Bastien, which I took on years ago. And so
Bastian.
I say Bastien, but you talk to everybody else, they say Bastion. Either way is fine.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being on, and we are definitely going to have a part two.
All
All
right.
righty.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. And to my listeners, again, stay tuned for this wonderful, wonderful lady because she's going to have some juicy nuggets for you in part two coming up. This is Sherita Herring with Beverly Hills to Barnyard. Join us every Wednesday. Also, we have a very special workshop coming up for grants here in Marlton, Arkansas. So go to my website at philanthropyalliance.org and look for grants at the Rialto tab. Get signed up for that. Tickets are only $15. It's regularly a $99 workshop. And so that special early bird ends on April 5th. So again, the new date is April 20th instead of March 30th. So join us. Again, Sherita Herring, Beverly Hills to Barnyard. See you next time.